Yeah, I mean, looking at the Power 25, we had our second, or I guess our first update, but it was our week two Power 25 update. I don't think a ton of changes really happened. I mean, we did have some um, throughout the Power 25, but yeah, I mean, top five remain the same. Drew, I don't know if there's anything you want to touch on.
Yeah, I would say I think for us, just like giving the viewers and listeners an idea is doing these rankings this early is hard. Like we were talking, like should we even update it right now? Like what exactly should we do? There's some teams that had only played 3 games. There's some teams that had more like 7, 8 games under their belt. Knowing how to kind of move teams that maybe played a really hard schedule, didn't have a great record yet. Um, how far do you move them down? How far do you move a team up that's maybe undefeated and only played 3 games? And then on top of that, there's a ton of teams that have played out of state competition. So, yes, like I think a big benefit and help for us, especially within the recent years, is pretty much every prep baseball state out there has a high school team rankings that they, update throughout the spring. So we'll go in and we'll look, okay, this, whoever it may be, let's just call it, I'm trying like Francis Howell from Missouri. We knew that they were one of the top, ranked teams in Missouri. So when Edwardsville beats them, that definitely holds some weight. So these teams that we're able to get a little bit of info on certainly helps when we go through this, but there are a lot of teams that are hard to tell. Like, okay, is that a bad loss? Is that a good win? So I would say like bear with us for these first couple weeks with doing these updates. We're doing them the best we can with, judging the competition, who's played who, trying to really value like Power 25 wins and not crush some teams and maybe lost to some Power 25 teams. And then as the year goes on and these teams get into conference, it'll be a lot easier to really get a good understanding and grip on these teams. But another thing we're using too is like the eye test. Like we saw New Trier play down at the Kickoff Classic. We saw Edwardsville. We saw Fallon. We saw Triad. We saw a ton of these teams. We just saw Libertyville. We saw Normal Community. We just saw St. Lawrence. We've seen Mount Carmel. We've seen Lincoln Way East now. We've seen Huntley. So like we've seen a maybe 80% of the Power 25 now and gotten a good litmus test on, okay, this is what our eye test tells us. This is what their roster is. This is what their pitching is. So I know I'm getting long-winded into this, but there's probably some teams out there like, man, how are we not in the Power 25 right now? Or, oh man, how did we not climb more? Why did we drop so much? And there's just a lot of dynamics to it. So, no, Gavin, you hit on it. Like top five remains the same. Brother Rice went out and played some of the best teams in the country early on out in Vegas. They're 3-3, but I mean, Shooter Hunt is, one of our main. He's like our national scout. What would you call Shooter? Is he our national scouting director? Is
Yeah,
that
VP
probably
of scouting. Yeah,
yeah,
the
VP of
VP of,
scouting. So,
yeah.
he's out there watching Brother Rice coming back like, man, if there's, 3 better teams than Brother Rice, like I want to see him because that's how impressed he was with their position players and some of their arms as well. So we take a lot of value in that. Libertyville won state last year. They went out and played a couple teams as well. They're 3-2-1, but St. Lawrence stays at the top. St. Lawrence's only loss here, as I'm looking at it, is to IMG. Like they're the number 2 ranked team in Florida, and apparently they had them beat. Made a couple late game miscues defensively that ended up costing them. But St. Lawrence 3-1 coming into a lot of these records that we'll kind of touch on are after Sunday when we updated them. So by the time this rolls out on Wednesday, there's going to be some differences in these teams' records, but. No, St. Lawrence, Normal Community, Libertyville, Brother Rice, Mount Carmel. That rounds out the top 5, and I'll give it back to you guys.
Like you said, it's really tough, especially this early. But we got Lincoln Way East jumping 1 spot, so now they're up to 6. They had a win over Maine South, who was 6 at the time. A nice 4-0 win. I mean, they're really solid. Like, they passed the eye test. They got depth. I liked the pieces that they have, and the coaches are all very high on what they have, and they're fairly young. Like they have mostly juniors and a really, really talented 28 class that they all like. So that's going to be a team to watch for the next couple of years. And then Huntley, they're jumping up 1 spot to number 7 now. They went 4-0 on the week. Another one, I got my eyes on them, and they're another talented group. They're always going to be very good over there in Huntley. Coach Jakubowski does a great job. They're always going to be, well coached, tight knit group, and they got some firepower up and down that lineup and some talented arms. So, two teams that I personally saw that are making a couple jumps here.
Yeah, Homewood Flossmoor is jumping 13 spots entering this week. They went 5-0 last week. A big win, a big 7-6 win over number 5 Mount Carmel. And I think so far this year, it's kind of been what we predicted entering the year, with them being our preseason number 25 team, is their pitching. It's keeping them in every game. I want to say, and I could be wrong partially here, but in that win over Mount Carmel, Henry Humes and Cormac Saunders, probably their two best arms, came out of the pen and shut down that lineup, and allowed their offense to get back into the swing of things and win that game. So I think with the Vikings, that's going to be the case all year, right? It's going to be, how much offense can they muster, because that pitching is going to have them in every single game. So they're getting rewarded for their 5-0 start last week, and they are now up to number 12.
Yeah, and then St. Joe Ogden, they earned a big Power 25 win over Sacred Heart Griffin. St. Joe Ogden, they've got a deep senior team, very senior heavy. They've got some good pitching. I actually saw Trevor Ames at the Kickoff Classic, and he had some good hits in the game, and then he continued, just looking at the daily roundup, continue to see him getting hits and it looks like offensively leading them so far. But yeah, St. Joe Ogden, just a very deep team, a lot of college commits, and they'll be a team to kind of continue to monitor. They're one of the top teams in the state and definitely look like one of the top 2A teams in the state as well.
Then another team, one of two teams that jumped into the Power 25, but Mascoutah, they're off to a 5-0 start, and I think what really stood out to me was, man, we knew Darren Klein was going to be good. He's a 2027 that can pitch mid-upper 80s. Nolan Liebert is another arm that they had. But the emergence of Brandon Klein, he's a freshman. I think he's got a chance to be one of the top 2029 arms down there in that Southern Illinois Metro East area. Pitching on varsity and really performing. And the velo was actually up. We saw them down at the Kickoff Classic, and he was 84, 86, 83, 86. We had seen him in the low 80s before. So him stepping up, them going 5-0, they're a team I'm really, really intrigued by, and I think they deserve to get into that Power 25. And obviously time will tell with that.